The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi everybody, this is Liz from the Farmers Market Coalition. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to have a really fun webinar on the Pop Club in Oregon City. Jackie Hammond Williams is the market manager there, and she created this programming for children. I think they're going to be in their third year this summer, and it's been really, really successful. And many markets across the country have been interested in replicating the program. I think that there have been a few other markets that have done that, including the Charlottesville Farmers Market in Virginia. Natalie Roper is the FNC intern. She's wonderful, and she participated in a team of students that researched and visited the Oregon City Farmers Market and then implemented a very similar program in Charlottesville. So they're both going to talk about what they've done, and it's going to be wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'm going to switch the screen over to Jackie right now. And I also wanted to let people know that we're going to be talking for most of this hour, and then we're going to have question and answer at the end, the way we usually do with the webinars. There's a question box on your control panel, and you can type in your questions the whole time, but we may just save the questions for the end. And I do anticipate that we may need to go until 2:15, so if you have to leave right at 2, feel free. And you can always view the recording to get those last questions at a later time. So I think that's everything. And Jackie, you should have an option to share your screen now. There you go.
Okay. We're on then?
Yes, we are. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz, and hello everyone. I'm really delighted to be talking to you today about the Pop Club. I would think about giving you an overview, but actually it's quite a long little slideshow, so I think I'll just jump straight in, and maybe you can write down your questions and I can get them answered at the end. We started this at the Farmers Market here in Oregon City in May 2011. And it was prompted by the offer of a HEAL grant, Healthy Eating, Active Living, that was offered by our county here, Clackamas County. And it was a grant for $8,000. And it was really a grant to get innovative programs going in the community that would add to the health of the community. And at that point, I had been reading a lot about childhood obesity, and I was very concerned about reaching young children before the industrial agricultural complex weighs in with all their very savvy advertising, so that we could grab them and make them really understand where their food's coming from and taste fresh, tasty food. So the first slide is our logo that we came up with in May of 2011. How we got the word out about the program was we produced posters. I think this is probably the second or third rendition of our poster that I then went around and posted up in all the churches and schools here in the city. I also produced,
Could you enlarge that, like put it in slideshow mode so that people can see those posters a little bit better?
Slideshow, set up slideshow. Is that right?
Go to from beginning, the very first button in that row on the left there.
Okay.
And then click with your down arrow or your space bar.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Yeah, we're talking to a Luddite here, so thanks for that help.
That's okay.
Okay, so this is this is our logo. Here was our poster that we produced and sent out. We also produced loads and loads, in fact thousands of bookmarks. And these bookmarks were really educational because I was able to get them into the schools, and the school principals agreed to put them in every single kid's backpack. So this past year, 2012, I produced about 5,000 of them and then divided them up into hundreds and rubber banded them and took them around to all the markets. You might notice in the small print there that it says you will get, the kids will get $5. We started this program initially by giving $5 out to every kid that registered between the ages of 5 and 12. But we soon burnt through a ton of money. And I think when we came to the third amount of money or third grant I wrote for, we cut it back to $2. And we did lose a few customers and children, but really not that many. So now we're giving out $2 every time any kid comes to any Oregon City market. This was a passport that we devised. This actually is the first one of them. They've changed slightly since then. But this is a way for us to record who's coming and how often they come. When they come with their parent or a guardian, and I always get an adult signature. If a kid comes with another kid as a friend and doesn't have a parent or a guardian attached to them, I give them a bookmark and say, hey, take this back to your parents. If you want to join, bring them back to the market next week. And the back of the card has the grid of all the different dates of the market, which we then stamp. So that's our record of who's coming, how often they're coming, and we can really track the progress of the program. Also, after every 10 stamps, we give the kids a coupon, which we call our market surprise. And it can be, it can vary as depending on what we feel like giving the kids and what we have access to in the market. Here's our Pot Club bag that we produce. It's not a real strong one or a very big one, but I managed to get it produced. I think it was for $1 each one, which seemed pretty economical. And you'd be amazed how many keep coming back to the market. These kids really hold on to them. This is what we put the tokens in now. It's a little muslin bag. I have the logo printed, and then I iron them on each bag, which I know is completely crazy of me, and often I find myself doing it at 5:30 in the morning before the market. But anyway, the kids love them. That's a way of saving, because a lot of the kids save their tokens. You'd be amazed about how many kids actually want to save. The parents are fairly amazed too. And they save them up, and then they come back and they can buy fresh fruits and vegetables or food plants is the criteria for this club. They cannot use these tokens for pastries or anything else in the market. It has to be used for fresh fruits and vegetables or food plants. We also make them buttons. So when they join, they get a button, they get a shopping bag, they get the little muslin bag with the $2 in it. They do not get any more bags. That's it. If they lose them, I say, sorry, you're going to have to wait till next year when we start re-registering people. So how do the kids identify where they can sell their, where they can buy their, where they can use their tokens and buy their produce? So I make these laminated signs and I give them to all the growers and encourage them to put them up. And of course I have to run around now and again and say, oi, you haven't got your Pot Club sign up. But the growers see such benefit from this club that it honestly is the first sign that goes up in their booth. Here's another one. And this was first day, 2011, May 5th, I think it was. And we had a line. It was a fairly grim and wet day, as often they are in early May in Oregon, but we had this line and it never really diminished all day. And you can see some kids there holding some gallon pots. We had one of our board members is part of the horticultural department at the local college, and she had raised a lot of herb plants, and so the kids came and they were able to pot up herbs for Mum, because this was right before Mother's Day. This is kind of chaos that first day. You can see my husband standing in the back with a woolly hat. He had to bring me up more bags and more tokens because we were totally swamped. We had no idea the turnout would be so great. And initially, we were offering pedometers, which I got free through the local hospital, because we were going to encourage the kids to count their steps. And it worked pretty good for the first couple of weeks. And then we noticed that the kids were really savvy and had realized that if they stood still and shook them, that they could record thousands of steps and be the winner. So that, coupled with the fact that we were getting such huge numbers, it was becoming an unwieldy program to write down everybody's numbers, and we soon ditched the whole thing, which is kind of sad, but we figured that the more important thing is to get them out there buying their fresh fruits and vegetables. Here's a little crew on the way out. We ran out of red bags. We reordered with the purple ones. So that's why there's a mix there. We actually had to set up, right from the get-go, we realized we would be busy. So we produced a completely separate booth for this activity, and I would advise anyone to do that, because you want your information booth for your EBT sales, your debit sales, general information, and the kids always know to come to the Pop Club booth where the sign is, and I think you can see peeking behind there a little tablecloth which I always put on, which has lots of veggies on it, and the kids can really identify by the look of the booth that's where they go each week. And I generally put it next to the information booth for ease of staffing and volunteering. We can take lunch breaks and watch each other. Here's some more kids just excited to get out there and conquer the market. And one thing that there were many, many different facets of this program that we had no idea would happen that were pretty amazing. One of which was sibling cooperation, which the parents were blown away by. Instead of being competition, the kids realized soon that if they pooled their money, their tokens, and maybe saved up for a few weeks, they could actually buy bigger plants. So here's a sibling couple that bought a blueberry bush, and we're very happy about that. Here's a little guy with his strawberry plants. We always encourage the kids to visit back to the information booth and show us what they bought so we can give them a high five, chat a bit about growing it or eating it, what are you going to do with it, and take their picture. Here's another sibling couple that picked out 2 blueberry bushes. They're extremely proud of those and tell us every year how much they're growing. And here's a threesome, a family that pooled their money and bought a very expensive Columnar apple tree. This apple tree produces, I think it's got 1, 2, 3, it's got 4 different grafted apples onto it. So different, not exact seasons, but you know, sometimes in August, September, and October, there'll be a different apple growing on the tree. These kids were so excited about this tree. They had saved for weeks. I think it retailed at like $35. And the parents told me that this was totally the talk of the neighborhood. Every other family knew about this apple tree, and now they all wanted apple trees in their garden too. And this apple tree, the very first year, produced exactly 5 apples, 1 for each of the family members. Here's a little guy with, I think this is probably Italian parsley and fennel. And one of the great outcomes of this program is that kids, when you empower them to make their own purchases, often make purchases that the parents would never think to. And the parents are very often standing behind them, raising their eyebrows, mouthing to me, I didn't know he liked fennel. I didn't know she'd eat cilantro. It really is quite remarkable once you empower them what they choose. Here's another picture of the line at the Pop Club booth. It kind of never goes away in the summer. There's me on the right and a board member on the left, and I remember that day, I think I was in that hunched over position all day. They just kept coming. We keep all the passports, by the way, in file boxes in alphabetical order. When they come back and we find their card, we pull it out, we stamp it. We actually use a red tractor stamp because that's our logo. And then we put it aside. We don't put it back in the box. So at the end of the day, then, we can actually count how many have come, and then I can tally that with the tokens given out. And pretty much always it's exact. So that's kind of a nice way to record it. Here's some more crowd scenes. Of course, the main thing about this program is getting fresh fruit into the mouths of children, which is delightful. Here's another little sweetie with her strawberries. She came to show it. And here's another little girl, cute as buttons. I think her parents came in and helped her with this purchase. I don't think $2 or even $5 would have bought all this. But one of the great outcomes of the program is then you get the buying power of the parents that are almost guilted into buying more fruits and vegetables when they see their children excited and say the children can only afford 1 basket of berries. Then they'll relent and go, okay, you want to eat them all? Let me buy them for you. And you might say, well, $2 won't buy a basket of berries in my market. And how I deal with that is I talk to the vendors at our vendor meeting and throughout the year and encourage them to relent a little bit on price only with the Pop Club kids. And they do willingly because they totally see the viability of this program and how much it's making their bottom line bigger. I've had reports of somewhere between 10 and 20% more fruits and vegetables being purchased per season because of this market. Because of this program in the market. Here's another little girl with her berries. This is not a Pop Club kid, but I had to put it in. She was just relishing her sister's berries, and I thought it was just quite hysterical. Here's another couple of kids. This is purchasing power right there. Obviously it's not just $2. Maybe they saved up. Sometimes the parents are very strict and say, no, we're not helping you, you're saving, and then when you come back in a month, you can buy a lot of stuff. Another outcome is, and this was totally unprompted, with all the food plants that were sold at the market, the kids started returning with their harvest to show the farmer that they bought the plant from. And on the left is Christy Hansen of Hansen Family Farms. She's a great farmer in the market. They have meat, dairy, and produce, but they also sell a lot of plants in the spring. And this little fellow bought a strawberry plant from her and was delighted to show his harvest. This is another little girl with her radish harvest, Melissa. And this is Nick with his green beans. He actually was 12 when he joined, so he could only be in the program 1 year. But boy, he was actually the best Pop Club member the whole year. I think he came like 40 to 50 times throughout the season and never missed a market. This is some little kids with their harvest that they're bringing back to show us. So I think I alluded to the fact that after every 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 times a kid comes to the market, we give them a surprise coupon. Initially, we thought, well, we'll give them a break from fruits and veggies. We'll give them a coupon to go to the bakery in the market, and they can get a really nice, big, sticky, gooey cinnamon roll. And then we started getting a few raised eyebrows from parents, like, well, wait a minute, you're trying to get them to eat fresh fruits and vegetables, and now you're giving them coupons for dairy, for bakery products. So we started to think, maybe not, particularly when the vendor started to put multicolored icing on that was pretty gross, so we decided not to do that. But we still had a few coupons over. So 2 weeks later, we started to do coupons. We contracted with the smoothie vendor at the market for doing fresh fruit smoothies at a slightly reduced rate. He would sell them to us. We would buy a block of 10 or 20. And then we would give the coupon, and that would be redeemed at his booth for a fresh fruit smoothie. So we did start giving the kids the option, would you like a sticky bun or would you like a coupon for a fresh fruit smoothie? And something amazing happened. I would say between 85 and 90% of the kids, or 100% of the kids, wanted the fresh fruit smoothie. They did not want that sticky bun. So that taught us a lesson, and we never went there again. So in the summer, we give coupons to fresh fruit smoothies, and in the winter market, we give coupons to hot chocolates. And in the interim, we scavenge around and get stuff donated by different businesses. This actually happens to be the Bank of the Market On Point Community Credit Union, who are amazing. They gave us a lot of water bottles and Frisbees. So here's a little girl with her Frisbee, a couple of kids with their Frisbees. And activities. We try to put on, or do put on, every Saturday through the market, a kids' Pop Club fun activity. We call it Pop Club Fun Booth rather than activity, which sounds kind of staid. And here's the first activity we ever did. This is one of our board members who had grown all these herb plants. And here are the kids planting a herb garden for Mom. They actually could choose between a variety of herbs. They didn't just get to stick to one. They took home like 3 in a pot for their mother. So one of the first hands-on activities we did was hosted by OSU Extension. And this is Kelly Street shown here talking to kids. She was helping them make their own spring salad. So we had a hand washing station set up, and about 40 kids actually took part in this salad making demo. So they would chop vegetables in one of those choppy boxes. I got asked about that the other day, but sort of a rectangular box which has knives in the lid, and the kids put the vegetables in and then slam it down shut, and it chops the vegetables, and they love doing that. Then they would take them along and throw them in a great big bowl that would be tossed, And then OSU Extension Master Food Preservers would demonstrate how to make a vinaigrette dressing from vinegar in the market and herbs and garlic, and make a healthy salad dressing. And here's some people saying, wow, my kids never eat salad, but they're eating salad today. This is terrific. And then we did have reported outcomes of this demo was that kids are now asking for salad at home, wanting to make their own salad at home, and purchasing more greens and lettuce in the market. I also reached out to a local well, he's a chiropractor naturopath, in fact, who's very good at cooking, has worked farmers markets before, has done demos on healthy eating for the adults, and so he comes in and does demos for the children too. And I think here he's making a frittata. I think it's probably got some bok choy there, or some chard and eggs and a few herbs. And he's wonderful. He talks to the kids one-on-one. I mean, he really engages them, and they were very attentive. I also reached out to OSU Extension 4-H groups, and they came in and they made some vegetable print sheets for the kids that they could then make their own little patterns. But hanging up in the back, you'll see there is some information about healthy eating, and the kids were talking to the kids one-on-one about what were you buying in the market that day, you know, are you eating more fruits and vegetables, aren't they great? And it was just terrific to see kids talking to kids and being engaged about healthy nutrition. This was a seed starting activity. We used a lot of egg cartons and seeds and soil, and the kids just took them home and kept them watered and grew some food. And here's a green bean demo. We were slicing up beans and getting the kids to taste them, and they really loved them. This was another activity talking to the kids about, okay, so it's summer, but when you get back to school, what do you want to see in your lunchbox? You know, now you've been tasting all this great food, you've been shopping for it, you're growing it. What are you going to put in your lunchbox? And this was pretty well attended, and we got some pretty interesting answers too about that. Same slide, really, same activity. This was choose your own favorite apple in the market and vote for it. And then we went and nominated the grower of the favorite kids apple in the market. I was pretty swamped that first year. I had a tiger by the tail, and I was just running, trying to think up different activities each week. So I did kind of relent and just let a clown come in. Not that we don't love clowns, but it doesn't exactly have a nutrition component to this activity. But it was such a relief to have something for the kids to do. It was a really hot day, and I was very grateful for this clown to show up and blow some balloons for the kids. This guy was terrific. He writes curriculum for different schools all over the United States. His name is Rick Reynolds. He has the Evergreen Twins curriculum books, which I would recommend you could Google that. The books alone are just fabulous for educators and to give ideas about different kids' activities to do with ecology and nutrition. He actually came many times and has come over the past 2 years. One time he came with some power tools, battery power tools, and worm bins, and the kids literally drilled holes in the side of plastic tubs and made worm bins, and that was a huge success. They just love those critters. He also gave out scavenger hunts for them. We happened to be in a park, a parking lot that is LEED certified platinum, I believe, has bioswales and lots of rocks and native planting. So there's quite a lot of wildlife and different trees and leaves, and so he was doing the scavenger hunts, which I've now picked up on. I'm doing that a lot at the market, even at the winter market, but I'm doing it, and it's called Find That Vegetable, Name the Farmer. So they have to run around and find a particular vegetable, herb, or product in the market and then name that vendor, and then when they've completed it, they come back and they usually get a sticker or a high five or a pencil or just nothing. I mean, they're quite happy just to fill it out and get a high five. And if I don't do it, they come looking for it. They really like to do that. So this is our cider pressing day. We have that once a year at the market, and we bring in a big cider press. The kids get to throw in the apples, which are donated by vendors, and then we get to pasteurize it and give it out as samples. Here they are throwing it in. They just love this one. Can't believe that the juice is coming out the bottom. Here we are making it safe and giving it out to drink. And the other really great activity that everyone waits for every year is the favorite farmer day. The kids come by, we purchased a button making machine to make our pot buttons, and then realized we could use it for a lot of different activities. So here they are, they're drawing on a pre-punched out sample their favorite fruit and vegetable. Then they go over to the other table and they make a button for themselves, which they get to keep to show their favorite fruit or vegetable, and then they get to make one and pin it on their favorite farmer. And here is Tina from Leon's farm. The kids loved her. She always wears cute aprons, so she got a lot of buttons. This was not even, we hadn't even begun when this picture was taken. By the end of the day, their chest is completely covered with them. Here's an employee of a farm, and she got some interesting looking corn buttons there. I think they sell a lot of corn, that farm. And more buttons. So I think probably the third most favorite activity is wheat grinding. I'm lucky enough to have a board member that had a stationary bike adapted to carry a grinder. And she brings the wheat berries, and now in fact we get them donated by a local granary or granary. And the kids can't believe that the wheat berries make flour. They thought that flowers make flour, which is kind of interesting. They were looking around for all the flour heads that they thought they'd be grinding. But we took the flour and we made them pancakes. And we had a sheaf of wheat there to show them the raw product, and they just loved this. In fact, there's the line, and the line never went away. It was like that all day. The people cooking the pancakes were fairly exhausted, but it was just really fun, and the kids just loved it. Again, in 2011, I was running out of activities, so I invited the local sheriff and his dog to visit. He was so thankful for this gig because the day before he'd had a fairly gnarly event up in the mountains in Oregon, tracking a really bad person, and the dog had to dive into bramble and grab the guy, and it was just very stressful for him and his dog. And he said, "Thank you so much for coming, it's been wonderful." And they sat out there on the hot tarmac for about 3 hours, and the kids got to pet the dog. One thing we did when we started to run out of the initial HEAL grant money is I reached out to the community, and my own dentist here in Clackamas County offered up $1,000, which was amazing. His wife was coming, she was bringing the kids, she saw the benefit, she said, "This cannot die, we have to keep it going. Let me give you a check for $1,000. So what I did is I started to produce these boards, phone call boards. We'd have them out, and so when the kids got their money, I said, "Would you like to thank Dr. Don, who's the dentist?" And they all signed their name, and on the back a few of them wrote notes too. And we keep this up. Anyone who donates money for it, we try and get the kids to say thank you. So we had a rally in 2011 for National Farmers Market Week, and the lady speaking here is actually the bank manager of the bank that the market uses, and she's a customer at the market with her children. Prior to the Pop Club, she would come maybe 3 or 4 times a year. Since the Pop Club started, she hardly misses a week now. And she's testifying here on the microphone that it's the kids that get her up in the morning and get her out to the market. They will not miss a market. And that's a really good way to increase your customer base at the market, is get the kids engaged, because they are driving the parents to shop. And this just tickled me to think that the parents are actually being you know, sort of chagrined or whatever, and said, "Come on, you've got to shop more at the market." So that was kind of an interesting outcome of the Pop Club. This lady's also fabulous. She knows that we're really swamped, so she offers one of her employees to the Pop Club to work it every Saturday for 2 hours. And that's part of their Give Back to the Community Day. And it really helps me because I know that I'll always have my one regular fabulous volunteer in the Pop Club, but I will also have an extra one showing up, and they will work till 11, which is a great bonus. So I know these slides are going to go up later, so I won't run through this, but there are a lot of great comments about the Pop Club. And how I got them was I leave out cards, and when parents come up and say, "Hey, we love this program," I say, "Could you take a minute, and here's a pen, and write down what it means to you, this program." And so they started to do that, and they started to compile them, which is a very good thing when you're going out for grants for this program. Maybe to replenish the pot, you need to have the outcomes, and you need to have some customer comments. And particularly parent comments. It's all been really great feedback, and they're just, I would take a minute to read them another time. So, figures. In 2011, we started out, as you realize, giving out $5. In May and June, we had 1,766 kids shopping trips, giving out $5 in 2 months. July and August, we had 1,215 giving out $2. So yes, there was a 500 trip drop. But I didn't think that was as bad as I was expecting. And in fact, you'll be glad to know that in 2012 it upticked hugely, and it didn't really make any difference whatsoever that we didn't offer the $5. You see that September's not mentioned, and then there's obviously a very small drop, amount, 503 in October. This was because we ran out of money in September. And only when our local soil and water conservation district came back in October with funding were we able to reopen it. And I would advise you not to let it drop off, because you can see what happened. We lost a lot of customers at that point. They obviously thought, it's closed, it's a one-off, it won't open again, we're not going back to the market. And so if you're going to do it, I would try and plan it so that you have a start date and an end date, and then you maybe say at that end date, and we'll be seeking more funding, and we're opening it up next year or later on, in our winter market or something, if you have a winter market. This was 2011. We had 3,763 shopping trips between May and February. So it wasn't May to May. I didn't actually add on the extra, but in March and April, we probably had another 200 kids come. So this year, the second year, 2012 through till now, which we're in 2013, we've had, actually I've redone these figures, excuse me. I've just taken them right the way through into the winter market now. So to date, I can tell you that from 2012 May till this month, we've had 5,180 kid shopping trips. And to date, in 2012 to now, we've got 1,781 kids in the community are signed up for this program. So what are the benefits of the Pot Club? I think it's great to have kids empowered to make their own choices, obviously. It is a great activity that parents and kids can share together. This is a father actually dancing to the music at our little Wednesday market with his Pot Club kids. It's putting money into the banks of farmers. It's economic development for them. They really get it. So I've noticed that they're making their booths more kid-friendly. They're having things a little bit lower on the, eye level more. They're doing more sampling to the kids, and they're really getting it that this is driving sales to them. So they're totally on board with this and love the program. It's getting green vegetables and fruits into the mouths of kids where before they probably have never tasted them, or certain vegetables, and they're beginning to really know that good nutrition and good food can be raw food, or it can be market food, and maybe they need to have more of that at home. It's linking the growers to the kids and the kids to the growers. They're really beginning to realize where their food comes from, who's growing it, and in fact that it is grown, instead of seeing it already picked and nice and shiny on the supermarket shelves. This was a great farm that was in our Wednesday market. Sadly, they've moved up to Alaska, but before they left, they gave us a huge donation to this Pot Club. They came from Alaska, they came down, they were farmers in our market and other markets for about 3 years, but they realized their heart's back in Alaska. But before they left, they said, we actually witnessed the growth and the importance of this club. We want to give you this donation. And here's Sharon talking to a little Pot Club girl about what is she going to do with that produce when she gets home. So it really is connecting kids to the source of their food. And here's another farmer. He's actually, this is the rally day back in 2011. He's with Patrick, a really great Pot Club kid who's showing Mr. Huckabee here, Family Table Farms, what he grew in his garden. and he picked it and bought to show Larry. So Larry's saying to the audience here that this is true sustainability. When you've got kids coming to the market, excited to be at the market, buying fresh fruits and vegetables, but also buying their own food plants, taking the time to plant them in the garden and harvest them and bring them back to the farmer, that's a true circle of sustainability. And the last slide is just kind of says it all. She's got her pot bag, she's got her bunch of carrots, she's got her plant to plant in the garden when she gets home to give her strawberries in the summer, and she's very excited about this club. And I think, Liz, I've come to the end of it.
This is so wonderful. Thank you for giving us all of this information. And we do have a lot of questions, so we'll get to those after Natalie's presentation. Natalie, I'm sending you a message, and great. So whenever you, there, perfect. All right, it should be. Okay. We can't hear you, though. I don't know if you're talking, Natalie.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Great, thank you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Jackie, and everyone on this webinar. I'm really excited to be able to be a part of it. I am, as Liz mentioned, the intern with Farmers Market Coalition, but I'm also a student at the University of Virginia, and have for the past 3 years been working on a project with the team through a program called Jefferson Public Citizens at UVA, which is a research grant program at the university that funds teams of undergraduate and graduate students, as well as faculty and community members, to all work together to create research to help a community problem, something that a community has recognized as something they would like more data on, and then how to use this data to help that. So we have been really focused on working with our local farmers market, the Charlottesville City Market, which is our farmers market downtown. We have about 5,000 people coming every week, and like I said, is located in our downtown area. And my team has been working on how to increase access to this farmers market, a concern that a lot of farmers markets are working on. And this year we really started thinking about the idea of how we could do this through creating children's programming at the market. We started having conversations with different community stakeholders and started thinking about the amount of power that children have over what their parents decide to purchase. It makes a lot of sense, but if the kids don't want to eat any fresh vegetables, there's really no incentive for parents to buy it. Not to mention families that especially have less dispensable income than others. It's a waste to spend money on produce if your kids aren't going to buy it. We also know through nutrition research that it takes a while for kids to like vegetables and try new foods. That takes time. Kids may not like broccoli the first time, but being exposed to it a few times is important. And again, this is a concern that's particularly hard for families with lower incomes that don't have the money to spend multiple times to have their kids try foods multiple times, maybe not liking them and then eventually liking them, but still it's a lot of income to be spending on food that might go to waste. So I will present a little bit about our journey through this, and Jackie is a very big part of that, and we sort of started this whole venture with Oregon and Oregon City's Farmers Market and realizing the exciting things they had going on. So I titled this sort of the 5-step plan to joining the pot movement, and hopefully some other markets can learn from what we did and take it and sort of make it your own. Let's see, I think I'm clicking. There we go. So the first step for us was really identifying what the best practices were. We had heard really exciting things about power of produce at Oregon City and contacted Jackie and had conversations with her about
what it would be like for Charlottesville to start one here, how she felt about expanding the program to the East Coast. And we were honored to be able to go to Oregon City as a team and see what they had going on, and do a little evaluation of their program for ourselves, which produced some really exciting results. As you can see, 72% of Pop Club kids at Oregon City tried a new fruit or vegetable at the program that they now like, and 70% of parents reported that their kids now request for them to purchase this produce that they've now tried at Pop, which is exactly what we were hoping, and gets right to the concern that I was mentioning earlier, and sort of this power that kids have and the importance of giving children opportunities to try new foods, talk to farmers, and purchase produce for themselves. And it really completes the picture when we saw that all of the vendors that we interviewed expressed an increase in sales due to this program. And all of these things were so exciting, and we thought that this would really be a great fit for what we had in mind in Charlottesville. We started thinking about how we could change what Oregon had to be something that would work here in Charlottesville. As I mentioned, Charlottesville's farmers market sees about 5,000 people every week, which is a pretty large market, a little larger than the one in Oregon City. And so we focused on providing enough activities every week so that we wouldn't have complete mayhem. A little chaos is okay, but so we decided that adding one activity would be really important for our structure. So we had one activity every week, similar to those that Jackie was explaining. We had a gardening demonstration, we had cooking demonstrations, scavenger hunts, and bike-powered blenders to make smoothies. But in addition to that, in order to sort of crowd manage, we were really excited about starting what we've called the 2-Bite Club, which is what you can see in this image here. A little girl is trying one of 4 kinds of peppers. And we really wanted to use this program to give kids the opportunity to try new things. Every time they would come to our Pop booth at the market, they would have the opportunity to try the vegetable of the week. And this is our first week. We had these 4 different colored peppers. And if the kids took 2 bites of it, they joined. They were a new member of the Pop Club and got a little badge that they could then add ribbons to. For every week they came, and they tried a new vegetable, they could add a new ribbon to their badge. We had peppers, we had butternut squash soup, and different kinds of apples, and kale chips were all the different kinds that we had during our pilot program. And it was really exciting. This program is something we're really proud of, and the experience was really exciting to hear parents shocked to see their kids like peppers and then go on to use their $2 to buy peppers that they didn't even realize their kids liked and the kids didn't realize they liked. So it was really exciting and a nice program for our situation, and something we thought was really successful. Another thing that we really focused on in Charlottesville was how can we make Power of Produce a community venture? How can we involve as many people as possible and make this something that the whole community is engaged in and really excited about? The way we really looked for partners was to be able to run our programming. We had limited staff. There are 4 people on my team, and so to manage the registration booth where kids would come we would give them their passport, as well as running 2-Bite. We were pretty short on staff to be running another program in addition, and we really relied on community partners to do that. Here, one of our non-market managers, she's a part of our nonprofit group of the Market Central, and she offered to lead this gardening demonstration, and that was a wonderful way for her to be able to get involved, as well as to save us some staff hands, and it was really exciting. We also had one of our prepared food vendors run a cooking demonstration,
and that's where the kids were able to cook for themselves. They sauteed kale and butternut squash and get that experience, and she loved it and we loved it, and it worked out really well. In addition to the programming, partnerships were really key for our marketing of the program in general. We partnered with our local Boys and Girls Club, our Big Brothers, Big Siblings, and Big Sids, and the City of Promise initiative in Charlottesville to make sure that our flyers were getting to families of all different kinds of incomes. And we found that one of the most successful marketing techniques was going to West Haven, which is a public housing community center in Charlottesville, and we led an after-school program there, which is what you see here. This adorable guy had made this Mr. Potato Head. We did a lesson on root vegetables, and they made real Mr. Potato Heads out of potatoes and different vegetables, as you can see, for eyes and hair and ears. And this partnership was really incredible for us to be able to go in person, talk to the kids, and then say, come to the market. That was certainly the most successful marketing, was one that was really based on relationship building and getting the community engaged and excited. Evaluation was a really important piece of our project, primarily because we are funded by a research grant. We definitely had to be providing data, but also in all of our experience with working with the Charlottesville City Market and farmers markets in general, funding for these programs is always a limiting factor, and funders need data. And we were always committed to making sure that this pilot program would produce data that would inform funders' decisions. This was the passport that we created that was fun for the kids, but also really useful in collecting data. This was one page from it. We had a page for every week of the pilot program. On the left side, you can see there's a picture space where we had a coloring station where the kids could go spend their $2 and then come back and spend time while their parents finished shopping, coloring what they had purchased, telling us what it was and if they'd had it before, which was really valuable data. A lot of people that we spoke to were really interested in whether kids were trying new things, and that was a good way to be able to track that. We also tracked what activities they participated in. And on the right side, we track all of the different things related to the 2-Bite Club, how they liked it, these goofy little emoticons you can see up there, and what kind of food they had tried that day. It was a great opportunity for kids. They really enjoyed being able to color and draw. The parents enjoyed them having an activity. And it's a really nice thing to be able to show to people and say, you know, look at this sweet drawing of carrots. It really makes it come to life, and people are excited to see it, and it ended up being a really useful data tool for us. In just our 4 weeks of piloting this program in Charlottesville, 88% of those that came had tried a new food that they now liked. I guess I should also say we had about 45 kids come every week. 30% of those were returning, which was really exciting. And you know, therefore, we had a lot of new kids coming every week too. We had about 103 total new participants in just 4 weeks. And 65% of those kids participated in the 2-Bite program, trying new vegetables and experiencing new things that they liked. So for us, most of our evaluation was based on our passport, and because it was such a short-term project, we weren't able to track behavioral change. But when we went to Oregon, before we started our program here in Charlottesville, we were able to ask questions that were based on long-term changes. This is the example of our survey that we used to ask participants in Oregon. And we really were just looking at, again, were they trying new things? Were they meeting new people? How much of a social event was this for them? And number 6, is there a farmer that you like to visit every week? We really wanted to start to see whether they were building loyalty to a specific farmer and how much of POP was related to having conversations with farmers.
we we gave some parents this survey, again trying to understand, do they now buy different things because their child is asking for them? What's the role of POP for parents? And then in asking vendors, we also wanted to understand the full circle. How is POP affecting vendors? Is this increasing sales? And how is POP able to be valuable for the kids, for the families, but also for farmers? And now, as our pilot program has come to an end and we are all students continuing with our semester, we really started to think about what's our role in this movement. We are not market managers, and our market managers have a lot going on, as all do, and we're not ready to take on the project permanently. It requires a lot of staff and a lot of funding. And so we wanted to share everything that we learned and build this POP movement that I think we're all really passionate can become a reality. We were so inspired by just 4 weeks of this program in Charlottesville and all of the wonderful things that Jackie has going on for years now, and feel really passionately about building truly a national POP movement. And imagine the incredible impact that could happen if markets all over the country had a POP program, and kids were trying new foods and getting the opportunity to talk to farmers and buy produce for themselves. It's really, really exciting. And as students, we had the opportunity to really think about our evaluation materials and create a logo and put time into some of the material creation. And we now are really excited to share all of those things on our soon-to-be website. We have gotten the domain www.poweredproduce.org, and that won't be live just yet, but very, very soon, and we'll let you know when. And we will be posting everything that we've done on there. Jackie's materials will be up there, and sort of our lessons learned on that website. And we just hope to provide resources so that other markets can do this quickly and easily, and we just want to be a resource so that we can really truly build a national POP movement. My email's there. I'm happy to answer questions from anyone at any time. I'm just really excited about it and really inspired, and hope that some other markets feel the same way. I think that Powered Produce can really make a difference and is indeed very powerful. So thank you. So excited for this website to be ready. You're going to have all kinds of like sample documents up there, right? The passport that you were showing, and Jackie's passport, and all the research and everything is going to be there. So it's going to be good. I'm just changing screens here. Sorry. We have a lot of questions, and if I can get this. Okay, so I think there is a little bit of confusion about some of the basics of the POP program. So let's see, I'm going to start with one of the more recent questions, which is just about reimbursing the farmers, and when that happens, how it happens, and also somebody asked about the tokens themselves and how are they different from SNAP or credit card tokens, and has there ever been any issues with those two getting confused with each other?
Okay. Do you want me to take that?
Sure.
Okay, so in our market, first of all, I want to say thanks to Natalie. Good job. I'm just thrilled that you're as thrilled and excited about this program as I am, so good job. But in our market, we have 4 different tokens floating around. We have the debit token, the $5 debit token. We have the $1, which happens to be red, EBT token. I have a green matching EBT token, and then I have a fourth one, which is the Pop Club token. And I've made it different because the print on it is purple. One side says Pop Club, $1, and on the other side it has our logo. And so it's just an educational thing to go out to the vendors and say, hey, we got a new token coming in now. And they all have their own token folders and sheets that they fill out every week. When they put their tokens in the folder, they return them to me in the folder. I count them when I get home. I write checks, and I give them the checks back the next week in that folder. It works very, very smoothly. Very occasionally do I find a hummus vendor with a pop token, and then I have to walk over and say, excuse me, you don't take these. You say, sorry kids, but you got to spend this on fresh fruits and vegetables. It does happen, but it doesn't happen very often. Does that answer it, do you think?
Yes. How many volunteers do you have, Jackie, and how do you find them? And do you have to do any screening for them to work with children?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. You know, I'm very fortunate in the fact that it took years, I have to say, scrambling, but about 5 years ago I suddenly amassed this great group of volunteers, and I know them all so well, both at the market and personally, that I don't feel I have to screen any of them. If I was to get suddenly a new stranger volunteer popping up wanting to help with the kids, yes, I would definitely do a background check and screen them and get references and be very wary, because you are dealing with kids here. As I said, I'm very fortunate to have this one woman who had actually been an employee of a vendor for many years, so I knew her through that. Then she was actually a volunteer in the information booth. Then she started to visit farms for me and write stories and take pictures, which we would put up on our website. And I'd been to her house. I mean, I knew her really well. And so when we decided to do the Pop Club, she put her hand up and said, I'll be the pop person. I'll take care of it. Don't worry, I'll be here every week. And she is every week. In fact, last market, we did a big ceremony with her. I made a chicken wire crown and gave her a sash and gave her a little gift card and said, thank you so much. You are a pop star. And she is. She knows all the kids by name. She's incredible. And so I'm very fortunate. And then, of course, the bank has actually sent over some people. But, yes, I think when you're dealing with kids, we do have to be, sadly, very wary of who suddenly jumps up and says, oh, I would like to help. So, yes, if I had someone I didn't know, I definitely would run a background check.
Great. And how many volunteers do you have? In
the Pop Club, at all times, pretty much 2.
Okay.
Very rarely can there just be one in the Pop Club. You really need 2 people. So we float between information and Pop. I really have two in Pop, but when one of them wants to go to the bathroom or have lunch, then someone from information floats over and takes care of it.
And I think you mentioned this is about collecting information, something about shopping trips. Can you tell us how you calculate the number of shopping trips? And I guess
so. What I do when I get excuse me, when I get home is I have a Pop Club sheet to account for all the tokens. And when I leave for the market every day, for the Pop Club rather, the Pop Club box with the tokens I have one box which has the little baggies with all the $2 in, and those are for the new kids that sign up, because remember, they get that one chance at getting that one little muslin bag. Then in a separate box, I have plastic bags of hundreds in tokens. That box of tokens is for returning kids. So at the end of the day, I can count how many bags are being given out and how many tokens are missing from the loose tokens for returning, and that gives me the number of returning and new kids. And then, of course, to cross-reference that, I also have the passports that we have pulled out and not put back in the file. I keep them till the end of the day, and then my wonderful volunteer does a count of how many new and how many returning. So what I do on my spreadsheet is I break out every week how many new and how many returning kids I get each week, which gives me, when you count the returning kid number, gives me the number of shopping trips that are, happen in the market. And sometimes, in the summer we can have as many as, I'm trying to look back through my thing, but initially starting out in May, I would expect anywhere between 150 to 200 kids to sign up. And then the next week, I'm probably going to see 100 of those come back, and I'm going to get 128 more. But gradually it shifts through the season to where you're getting, 200 or 300 coming a day, but only 50 of those are new, because you kind of reached a peak and you've reached a lot of them. And so it's really good to do your spreadsheet so you know who's coming and how often.
Let's see. Are any of the activities pre-scheduled? Do you have to be there at a certain time? I'm starting now in February, scheduling the activities through the market. So yes, they're definitely pre-scheduled. Sometimes I do slip up and have someone just call in and can't do it, and then I have to scramble. What I have found really helps is reaching out to the small independent schools, maybe private schools that really would like to get the word out about their school. I give them a free space to set up their canopy and tables, but it's a prerequisite that they do a kid-friendly, nutrition-based activity. And that has seen me through a lot of lean times where I just simply cannot come up with another activity, So hard, yes. But most of the time you have the activity running like that entire market day, right? There's
pretty much the entire market day. I mean, they might start, we open at 9. There's not really a necessity for the activity to start at 9 because the kids come in, they get their tokens, they're shopping. So the activity might start at 9:30, and on very hot days or very, very rainy days, I might knock it off at 1:30. So we might shorten it a little bit depending on the weather.
How large is your market? How many vendors do you have?
We have average about 48 vendors in the summer. We go a little higher, and what does Natalie have?
We have about 100 vendors, about 5,000 customers. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Which is why it was a little bit of a different program for us. And so a lot of our staffing came from my team, which is 4 of us, but we also got volunteers from different community service groups. So the university has a few, but I think also like high schools might be an option too, to sort of involve kids in the leadership part too, and running it is something that we thought about too.
Okay. I guess this question is for both of you guys. How much support do you get from the local media? Do they report on your programming at all?
Natalie, you want to take that first, love?
Sure. We were really lucky. We have a good, our market has a good relationship with a news source called UVA Today. One of the reporters is on our nonprofit advocacy group's board, and so we have a really good relationship with them, and we got a few things written up about us on that website. And then a lot of the other media attention was from us just putting the event on community calendars, again, sort of online mainly. So a lot of our attention was on online news resources, and we were on a local news television, like a local television news show, the 3rd week of our pilot. So it was exciting. It's farmers markets are just such a vibrant place, and so it was fun. The news really picked it up for us, and was excited to see kids trying new vegetables. I mean, it's fun. We're lucky to be a part of the happy news, so we're lucky to be on a few different things.
Yeah, and here in Oregon City, we've had quite a few stories in the local press. The county came and made a video of it, and then put that out over the cable access. I have to say that it will afford markets good press because, you know, what's cuter than kids, and what's, as Natalie said, what's a better place to take a picture? But, you know, with all the colorful fruits and veg in the sunshine at a bustling market, and then you throw in kids there, it's kind of a natural. So I would suggest that anyone who's going to do it in their market, yes, it will bring you press, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And can you repeat the age range of kids that are allowed to participate? And are you ever flexible with that?
Yeah, in Oregon City, we started it between 5 and 12, and sometimes, very rarely, I get kind of a little ticked-off parent. Well, she's 4, you know, can't she join? But you know, you can see the huge amount of money that we go through. So you know, you have to kind of narrow it down to get the most or the best outcome. But if a kid comes and she's a sibling of a kid that's already joined, and it's really close to her birthday, maybe a couple of months away, and she really wants to join, I'll just send the rules, yes. But, you know, it's a good learning curve for kids. You know, you have to wait, and then when they are able to join, I mean, I've seen kids in our winter market that are running up to me saying, I'm going to be 5, I can join in May, I'm so excited. And her mother's saying, oh my gosh, it's the biggest thing, she just can't wait to be in that pot club. So, you know, just making them wait makes them even more excited about joining. But yeah, it's 5 to 12. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Here's a great question. Do you get pushback from non-produce vendors, breads or prepared foods, meats, sweets, etc., because they're not participating?
I haven't. There's been a couple of little comments, you know, well, gee, they're benefiting from the kids, but then I kind of wag my finger at them and remind them that, hey, it's bringing people to the market. You know, the kids might be buying the veg, but the parents are going to see the loaf of bread or the jar of preserves or the wedge of cheese. So, you know, we got more people in the market, you know, so, you know, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's been my experience, too. I've heard vendors say that to me too, is, you know, we don't even sell produce, and we have felt like this is great because all these new families are coming, you know, and they bring purchasing parents. So I haven't, just in the short time that our program ran in Charlottesville, we already saw that enthusiasm as well from even non-produce vendors.
Great. Do you want to talk a little bit about how you guys might adapt this program for smaller rural markets? I know Oregon City isn't that big, but 40-something vendors is a lot for some communities, and you know, a lot of communities don't necessarily have the local businesses or that kind of support. Do you have any thoughts about really small areas?
I actually think that this program will work pretty good in small areas. What I would suggest is, you know, just go to the PTA groups, just do a presentation with the parents, say, hey, I'm on board with you, the market's, you know, we're going to help you get more fruits and veggies in the mouths of your kids. You know, do you want to join partnerships? I've done visits to PTA groups, and they've said, you know, you run out of money, you let us know, we'll fundraise for you. We've all seen the benefit of this. We're not having the battles anymore over the dinner table about eating fruits and veg. We want to support you. So I think it's building alliances within the community, however small. It could be churches, it could be PTA groups, and even the Lions Club locally in our city has been tremendously supportive. So I think it's definitely workable, maybe even more workable in smaller markets than the very big ones, because the very big ones are going to have a real hard time funding it. I mean, if you're going to get 5,000 people there and 500 of those are kids, you know, you're going to have a huge amount of money to run it. So I think it actually works even better in smaller communities.
I also think that our experience, at least, was since we only did it for a 4-week pilot, we sort of went with the go big or go home mentality because we wanted to evaluate the success of different pieces of the program. So we did everything. We did you know, produce bags and 2-Bite Club and a different activity every week and all of these things. But all of that really can be taken and fixed to whatever your market can handle. And like I said, our market can't handle that permanently, and so that's what the value of the pilot was. But I think doing one program or giving out $2 without a program, or I think things can sort of move in and out as your staff and funding allow.
And what I think a market could do is maybe just have a pop day. I mean, if you're very small and you don't have a lot of funding, say make the first Saturday of the month pop day at the market, and the kids come and they get their tokens, and then build on that. And once you can maybe see the outcomes of that program, then you can shop it around and try and get more funding to do it, you know, every week or every other week, and then you build up from there. But, you know, even start just do it once a month.
And I remember when we first spoke months ago, Jackie, you said that that you're constantly going around and trying to raise money for this program. It's not one, you know, you're always working on it. So it's a huge, big commitment, and yeah.
It is, and we've even raised money doing weird things like a lady knitted, her and her friend knitted like, you know, 300 woolly hats, and we sell them all the way through the winter market, you know, 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 a week, and that funding goes in. We also have a donation tin out, and then somebody else made us a huge amount of weird skeleton alien things made out of milk cartons that hang in trees that are just the biggest thing now at our market. You know, at the end of September, everybody wants them. When are the aliens coming? You know, and we hang them all up around the market. They look hysterical. And I think we sold $800 worth of them last year. So, you know, yes, that is a thing. It is a big commitment, but it's almost like we just have to have this program now. We cannot not have it. So, you know.
Right, and so you're doing fundraising in just every way you can, not just grants or sponsors. It's great. Natalie, when do you think your website's going to be ready?
We're hoping we'll at least have we will have something ready probably a week from today. It'll probably be more like 2 weeks until we have resources and everything up, and then 3 weeks until we have like fact sheets and sort of our step-by-step what we did and things like that. So it's sort of going to come in phases, but I think within the next week or so we'll have at least you can go to the website and see what it's going to look like a little bit, and we'll have resources, passports, everything that we've already created will be up really quickly after that. But we're working now with Jackie to create a toolkit of sorts that will include resources that we have yet to finalize, which will be things like fact sheets on community partnerships and how to get funding and best practices for evaluation, and some fact sheets like that. Those are still in the works and will be being created in the very short term, so that will be more like 3 weeks probably. But passports, our logo, which people are welcome to use, all of that will be up on the website, I would say, within the next week, week and a half, 2 weeks.
That's so great. It's a really neat logo, too. That is wonderful.
We're very excited about it. That's a big part of what we want to share.
That's great. Okay, you guys, I think that wraps up all of the questions. And if I missed a question, or if any of the participants think of any other questions, you can email us info@farmersmarketcoalition.org, or and I'll get the question to Jackie or Natalie. And thank you, everyone. This was a really exciting webinar, and both of your programs are just so inspiring. So thank you for your hard work, and thank you to all of our attendees, FMC members, for participating. This was really great. So thanks, everyone, and
thank you, Natalie.
Good afternoon.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.